What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Gamer Credits. This is going to be level 6. Let's introduce the players. Player 1, we got your boy Starchild.
What's up? What's up?
Nice. You're not going to wait for the audience response like BP did last time?
Nah, not this time.
Nice. And
That's
of course,
funny.
we got player 2 BP.
Kid, what's going on, man?
You know, when I was listening to the last episode, I legit was like, who's gonna respond? Because I legit thought you were talking to other people. I was like, what is going on here? Take a minute to click you were talking to us.
Yeah, man. Nah, I was
Yeah,
just
man.
flowing with it because that was a good point y'all
Ah,
made, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna flow. I'm gonna go and be like, yeah,
ah,
everybody,
got
man. You know, y'all too.
got
Hey,
you,
man.
got you.
Brian's that dude that when he talks to himself, he stops and waits. You know,
Uh,
that's
you
yeah.
mean BP?
Dang it! Yeah, BP. There
Hey,
we
man, it's all
go.
good, man.
There we
It's all
go.
good. I'm sure it wasn't too hard for you to figure it out, man. So it's all good.
Nice.
Oh no, the
Uh,
secret's out.
nice. And player 3 is your boy Kid Dream. So we're gonna start off right again. Does anybody have any gaming moments of the week?
Mm,
Well, I kind of have one. It's a bit of embarrassing, to tell you the truth, but it's basically dealing with actually me and you, kid, and my son getting together for that Tsushima Legends, doing a raid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was gonna be mine
where
too.
it was okay. Well, it kind of ties in, I guess. But yeah, as he knows, we got in there and just the three of us thinking, oh, even though it says 4 players, let's see, we might be able to go ahead and break the system and make it work. And to our credit, it worked out pretty well all the way up to
Almost.
all the way up to the very end. And then we realized that, oh yeah, they weren't playing when they said 4 people.
Yeah, man. And we won't get into spoilers, but
No.
that part you had to have a fourth person to
Yes.
complete it. There was, from what we could tell, no way around it. So
Right.
but that was about the end of it though. So we got all the way to the end pretty much for chapter 1 at least.
Yeah, chapter 1 definitely. Yeah.
So
So
that was interesting though. I did like that.
oh yeah, it was fun. It was still fun.
Can't wait to see what else they throw at us in chapter 2 and 3 though.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I mean, they did all that work, man, which was beautiful, by the way. Looked really good.
Oh yeah. So Star Child, did you have anything?
this has been a very slow week, so nothing other
Nothing.
than
Okay.
me and Brian or BP, since we want to use names.
Keep putting my identity out there, man. No, I'm kidding.
He does.
Hey, man.
Payback.
It was, yeah.
No,
Definitely.
I'm sorry, but
It's fine, man.
in Destiny 2, when basically you have 3 separate characters that you have to keep leveling them up because the light level's like what 1060, I think.
Around that.
Yeah, around that.
Jeez.
So me being the lazy player, I'll only play with one character. But to do nightfalls and to get more drops, you kind of want to upgrade all your characters so you can get more opportunities to get more drops. I have a character that's a very low light level, and I thought that I can bring that low low light level character into a game with BP, who has a high light level, and hopefully just reap the awards. That did not happen in a nightfall last night at all. I could not have helped. There was nothing I could do. I was dying too much, and it was all on BP's shoulder to try to carry me through, and it was just too much. And so, with that being said, I've learned my lesson. I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to level up all my characters and not just depend on somebody just to carry me. So there you go.
So long story short, ladies and gentlemen, I let Star Child down.
No,
You know
man.
what? That's a running joke somehow. Like y'all think that I'm always trying to get y'all to do something great for me. No.
Hey man,
I felt like I let you down.
I got the receipts, but that's cool. I understand. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
I'm joking. But
So
it was
real
fun.
quick,
It was fun.
So real quick, let me ask you guys, since you two still actively play Destiny, I know when I used to play mainly Destiny 1, and I think even in Destiny 2, is the strat still to have at least another of the same class as a character, so that way you can just transfer the gear to them, so you could run the Nightfall or raid, more times than once a week. Is that still the same strat?
With this one, because I know with the weapons that those are transferable. Your gear, though, however, is strictly to each class now. Because I believe in
What?
the first. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the strat was if you played like I played Warlock, so I had a
Sure.
second Warlock who was max level that I could just put on the same gear so I could run the Nightfall twice.
Oh, you're saying with the same in the same class.
Yes, yeah, within
Oh,
the same
gotcha,
class.
gotcha. I don't know. I hadn't tested that, man. Honestly,
I've never
Gotcha.
ever had multiple
I didn't
of the
think that was a
same
thing.
character. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did not think so either. If that's the case, why do I have a hunter? I mean,
Yeah,
That is-
I remember a lot back in Destiny 1, me and the group of people I used to play with, we would have multiples, sometimes 3, because I think the max was like 3 characters. And
Mhm.
people would have, if like I said, they played Hunter, they would have 2 extra hunters. So that way they could just run the Nightfall or run the raid 3 times and just transfer the gear, put in the vault so you can just take it
Mhm.
out with the next character.
I
yeah,
got
this
you.
is this
So
is
you're
I
new
light
mean,
to
level.
me. Yeah.
I can't imagine it'll be too different with Destiny 2.
Gotcha.
But I'll look at that. You got me curious now. I never thought about that.
Yeah, because I would drop my hunter in a second and
Just,
Nice.
just
get
so
another
y'all,
warlock,
for
man.
those who don't know, Star Child really does not like hunters. I mean,
In
it can't
in
be stressed
any
enough.
type of game, I don't care what game it is. If it's a hunter, I'm not gonna like it.
Right.
It makes no sense that a knife can do the same amount of damage as a laser. It don't make sense to me.
Hey, it's a special knife.
There you go.
It doesn't describe it as one, but just says knife.
Nice,
This
nice.
is funny because the hunter's my go-to, but
Yep.
that's another story. I'm not gonna go into our whole little exchanges.
So moving on, we got a couple interesting topics to talk about today. We're gonna start with Call of Duty and the recent reveal of the storage size. So,
Hmm.
spoiler alert: you're gonna need to clear up some space pretty quick. um, talk about Nintendo and a little bit of Metroid Prime 4. Then from there, we're gonna talk about Halo and the creative director and his decision. Then,
Mhm.
unfortunately, talk about some delays in the video game world. Some really sad news happened, and then finally, we're going to end it off with loot boxes and question we're going to kind of talk about a little bit. So we'll kind of leave it there for now until we get there.
Mhm.
So to start, Call of Duty. You guys ready to clear up some space?
Not really for Call of Duty, honestly, but but knowing me, I probably will fall back into it somehow. I'll end up getting it again, so guess I have no choice.
So to clarify what I mean, the other day they announced that on PC for max settings with ray tracing on, everything maxed out, it was going to take up 250 gigabytes. And again, that's with all the different game modes installed at once.
Hmm.
250 gigabytes.
Yeah, that's
Um,
mind blowing.
Now, as of a few hours ago, they did post a new statement where um, PC is now, I think, 125 gigabytes. So they did
Hmm.
bring it down,
Hmm.
but the PS5 is 133 gigabytes, and the
Mm.
Series X and S is 136 gigabytes still.
Mm, 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 mm.
Now,
Imagine that.
I did not look this up, but my question would be if the file size is bigger on the PlayStation 5, is it because it has more content? Do they have
Hmm.
some type of exclusive part of the game that's only on Sony's end?
Well, it's funny because I did remember reading something briefly about I want to say a zombie mode or something that they're
Yeah,
only getting exclusively.
Yeah,
something
that I
like that.
mean, now it makes sense. So it's like we about to knock Sony for I guess having bad size management. I don't know, but it sounds like the game just may have some extra things in it for just the
Mhm.
PlayStation, which just get yourself a dedicated hard drive for a COD. You'd be all right.
Well, I'm
Well,
glad you mentioned that because it makes sense now. Because I was trying to rack my brain about why would it be bigger than the PC one version, but anyway, I'm sorry, kid. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, not to poke holes in that, but the Xbox version is technically the biggest one, being
True,
136. So,
true.
um,
Oh,
I just think it's
hmm.
just the optimization they did, and maybe it was a little bit they couldn't squeeze things as nicely out as they could, like on the PC. So it just ended up taking a little bit more space on the the consoles potentially.
Interesting.
Still, that's a massive start because, like you said, I mean, that's not even. I mean, that's just to start with. You know,
Yeah,
the basic release. You know, updates, like you said, and the
DLCs.
DLCs we
yeah,
talked about.
and
Oof.
that was my original argument was, okay, it's huge now on day one, which okay, fine, but the problem is they're gonna update it and it's just gonna grow and grow, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
they gotta stop this, man. You gotta compress your files. You gotta bring this size down. There's just no way.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It is pretty crazy. Just leaving no space for nothing else. I think that's
The,
just what they're
the
trying to say.
workaround is you have to get your own dedicated hard drive just for that game. That's the workaround.
Yeah.
Well,
But they're just
and
like, look, we're going to occupy all this space.
see, that's what's going to be, I think, king for this generation is external storage. Like I said, primarily that the super fast SSDs for the both of the systems, but I
Hmm.
think extra storage. These companies, I think they're going to see a huge influx in sales because
Hmm.
nobody's going to have space anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. You can
Yeah.
see that coming up because as everything improves, it's going to take up more memory. So, oh boy. Yeah,
Because
I'm not looking too forward to it too much. I ain't gonna lie.
because Series X, you're getting a terabyte of storage. However, of course, with the OS and everything, you're only going to have about 800 gigabytes usable. And then with the PlayStation 5, you're getting was it like 825 gigabytes? But then with the OS, you're only going to get and I don't think they've officially said how much, but I've been seeing stuff from about 600 to 700 gigabytes, somewhere in that range of usable storage. So
Roughly.
let's just say 700 and 800 gigabytes for both systems. This 133 day one, game is going to eat up a lot of that storage, man.
Hmm.
A lot of
Like,
Yeah.
that storage. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the first game you buy day one.
Yeah.
So
That's what I said, man. They're trying
again,
to make that statement.
yeah. So again, with everybody, when they buy their consoles, they think of two things to get. They get a extra controller and they get their headset. Now they need to think
Hmm.
about I need to get me another external hard drive because
Yeah.
this is getting crazy and
Hmm.
it's not going to be just COD. I mean, who knows with the new consoles what type of games they're going to be making to push that hardware. Those games might be huge. They're going to be pushing
Oh yeah.
4K graphics
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. 4K and ray tracing. Yeah,
and
you're
ray
talking about
tracing.
some
Yeah.
huge games. If the developers do not compress and optimize it and cut it down,
Hmm.
it can get pretty big. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting to see it because, like you just said, Star Child. I'd rather get a bundle where instead of getting a second controller, give me an SSD, man. Like, give me some more
Yeah.
storage.
Yeah.
Bump a controller right now.
Yeah. It's like, give me that storage, man. That's what we need. So yeah, it's interesting because I know they were talking a lot before about when these consoles were being talked about in development and the potentials they had, and I know they were talking a lot about with the SSDs now we can just do so much more of the allocation, a lot better of the allocation
Hmm.
with memory and all that, and I remember talking to you even back then I think around that time, kid, where you were like, yeah, I still don't think it's going to affect the file size if I remember correctly. I know
Yeah.
you were kind of stuck on that, and I'm not gonna lie, I was optimistic. I was like, well, no, man, maybe they might, find a way to, get the size down a little bit more. But as we see now, doesn't look like that's gonna be the case.
But I mean, they can
Nah.
probably cut down a lot of the size if they just remove loot boxes. Just saying.
Ah, come on, man. You think they gonna do that?
Oh
Come on.
man, that was good. That was a good, Star. I like that.
Hey man, maybe once in a while.
Every once in a while. But it's just hopefully this won't be the new trend. Hopefully we can start seeing games start going back down again. But this isn't a good
Yeah,
sign, for the
it's
next
a rough.
gen.
It's a rough start. We'll see. We'll have to see.
So okay. Any more thoughts?
Mm,
I don't think Nintendo's having any problems with that. Just saying.
yeah.
Well, I know when I bought my Switch at day one, the original, you had to buy. Well, you probably didn't have to, but one of the first things I bought was an extra SD card because that thing
Yeah.
only came with like 64 gigs.
But how much did that
Yeah, I remember
SD
that saying
card
that.
cost is my question.
I think I got a pretty decent sized one, so it was like $50, $60
Mm-hmm.
maybe $40.
versus how much will be for these current external hard drives that they are make. Well, SSD drives they are making for the new consoles.
200
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah, yeah. So again, Nintendo doesn't have this problem right now.
And it's funny you speak of Nintendo. We courtesy to Star Child, we haven't been talking about Nintendo, so he wanted to shine a little light on Nintendo, and we wanted to just kind of talk about Metroid Prime 4. Um, I think it was 2019. Bandai Namco was working on it, however, for a few years. However, and like I said, in 2019, Nintendo announced that they were restarting production with Metro Studios, the original creators of the Metroid Prime series. Um, and so now who knows when the game's coming out, because that was as of last year, and with everything going on in the world, I'm sure that probably put a hiccup in the production. But yeah, you want to take it away, Star Child?
The only thing I wanted to discuss was the fact that Metroid is not one of my favorite games from Nintendo, but
hmm
with Retro Studios taking back their mantle and making this game for today's audience, I'm excited. So I just wanted to
Okay.
throw this topic into our normal, conversation because everybody's getting excited for the new next gen consoles, but I'm just excited for games in general. And
hmm
this is a game that if they can get this done correctly, it might be bigger than most of the new console games that's going to be coming out, because Metroid goes way back to a lot of our childhoods, and to see that redesigned for today's graphics, man, that would just be crazy. So
hmm Yeah. And
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you go ahead.
No, I wasn't gonna really add much to it. I mean, I hadn't played a Metroid game since the NES, admittedly.
hmm
Right.
I mean, I looked at the other ones, but they just never pulled me in. I think I just had too many not so fond memories of Metroid. Not to say it was bad. It's just I was not a fan of those games where it's like the corridors almost look exactly the same. So
Uh-huh.
you got really lost in trying to figure out, wait, was I here already, or was this a new path? So I was just like, you know what, this is too much. But what I will say is that I'm excited for the fact that it could be good, really great, and it needs to be, just because I feel like there's been a lot of loyal Metroid fans over
hmm
the years that really didn't necessarily need to be, considering some of the releases that were really very
I mean,
underwhelming.
they didn't ask for those other games that we may not speak about, but Nintendo was just trying to push something to sell games at the time.
Yeah.
But they learned their lesson, and they are putting in a lot of big names to make
hmm
this game possible. Because the
Yeah.
dude from Halo, I can't even think of his name. I gotta look it up. But he was like one of the veteran Halo creators. He's also working on this game for Nintendo.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I mean they need it. I mean, I honestly, this just for the fans' sake, I just really hope that they knock it out the park, honestly, because they deserve it. They really will. I just feel like it would be great for them.
And think about it like this. Now, Nintendo hasn't released that they were working with any type of VR type of system, but
Uh-huh.
Metroid on a VR, yo, I'm sorry.
Mm.
I would not even think about my PlayStation 5. I would just be messing with my Switch and my VR set, whatever. If they use those cardboard boxes, I could put the Switch in it. I don't care. I want Metroid on VR.
All right.
Nice.
The excitement level went up even more.
Oh
Okay.
man, I just thought about that. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
let me
See.
calm down. Yeah.
Ah, man, it's all good. What about you, kid? What do you feel?
Well, full disclosure, I've actually never played a Metroid game before.
Oh, wow.
I know, I'm terrible.
Oh man, that's fine. I mean, generation. I get it.
um, I, I have seen them, and yeah, always heard good things about them, and so I'm definitely interested in this release when I saw it. Ever since I got my Switch, I've been interested in pretty much everything Nintendo's been putting out, and most of it I do want to check out. This is definitely one of the ones I want to check out. Um,
Mhm.
I just want to ask you guys, when do you think we'll see it? I mean,
Oh,
it restarted production last year, and with everything in the world going on this year, I mean, I when do you guys think we'll see even a little bit of it?
it's a
Well,
good
yeah,
question.
I mean, before worrying about seeing that, you may want to buy yourself a used GameCube and just buy the Metro trilogy and just play the Metroids for the GameCube. Those
Mhm.
games were amazing.
Hmm.
But to answer your question, it's going to be 2021 that game is going to be released, and I think
That's funny.
knowing Nintendo is not
Mhm.
going to be around any holiday. It's going to be some very like awkward month, like an April type thing,
Yeah.
like for no reason at all. In April, Metro Prime's coming out, and there we go.
Yeah, I said it was funny earlier because I was just thinking that 2021 would probably be a target date still. I was thinking a little bit later probably, but yeah. And now to your point, Star, about you said a trilogy. I think I was reading somewhere where people were saying, wouldn't it be a smart deal that up until it gets released for them to just redo it for the Switch?
Wow,
And I was like, that might really be a good idea.
that would be smart. That would
Yeah,
be, but this would now I can't speak on this as if I did any research, but I don't think the Switch had any GameCube games available on it yet, has it?
I
Yeah,
have. Has it?
I was gonna say it is a smart strategy for Nintendo. However, they're weird and they don't really do a lot of stuff like that. At least on the Switch, they haven't really done
Yeah,
anything.
Yeah.
And so as far as GameCube, I think they just no, I think Sunshine was 64, wasn't it? Mario Sunshine.
that was
No, that was.
no, that's the GameCube.
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Was
that
that
was
then
before?
the
GameCube. There we go. They may do this. Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
because I know they took 64 from, obviously 64,
64,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
Mario
and put it,
64.
and that was on the Switch, right? So
yeah, it just came out, and even then they're doing it weird, with the limited release.
yeah, this is really weird. Yeah,
Yeah, so Super Mario Sunshine was on the Nintendo GameCube.
GameCube. Okay.
So
I mean,
I agree with y'all. I think that would be a very smart play for Nintendo to release a collection of the original games to get people, hyped and to replay it. But like I said, that's just so weird. They don't do that often. And even though like people would buy it like hotcakes,
Yeah.
they don't
yeah,
for whatever reason.
they still
Uh,
working on their amusement park, so they're not thinking about that yet.
But I will say though, I do think 2021 is too early for release. I mean, maybe we might see something end of next year, but I think 2021 as a release date to me just feels too early since they just restarted production last year. I mean, uh, unless they, just because they've made it, they just so used to it and they can just like knock it out real quick. Who knows? But
mhm.
I think
Yeah,
2022, 2023 we might see release.
I
I got
think
you.
that they started adding more people to the project because they are on like maybe they're halfway through or near the final stages. I mean, it's not like
Okay.
they're just starting from scratch. They've been working on this for a full year, so I think that they're almost done, and they kind of need to get this thing rushed out because they don't want the Switch to lose momentum. They have to have another big title, and Metro Prime is as big as it gets when it comes to Nintendo.
Well, can't forget about Mario now.
Well, Mario is the biggest, but they already have Mario games. They have Odyssey, so they don't want to saturate the market with more Mario. They kind of
Mm.
they gotta keep it going with some clean, newer, refreshing options.
So I guess real quick, do you guys think? Because I know one of our earlier podcasts we talked about Nintendo's next move after the Switch. Is it a Switch 2? Is it a Switch Pro? Whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. Do you think Prime 4 will be on the next generation Switch, or do you think it'll be on both? What do y'all think?
Well, if it's going to keep the same moniker as Switch, that the new console, that means the current Switch games could be compatible. So I'm guessing that they would release it with the current Switch, but it can be played on the newest Switch with upgraded graphics.
Yeah.
PP?
I think I'm gonna go along with Star on that. I think so. I mean, I don't think I can say it any better than he did, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that. If I'm going based off what you guys said, and it
Hmm.
comes out next year, I could see them doing that because I don't think we'll get a Switch 2 sometime next year. But if it is later in like 2022, 2023 time frame, I could see this being like a Switch 2 exclusive to push those switches. You know what I mean? As to be
Hmm.
the system seller, kind of like Breath of the Wild was when that came out for the Switch.
Good point. But see,
Mm.
wasn't at that time the Wii was able to still play GameCube games. So like Nintendo doesn't just cut off their previous console games because they have a
Hmm.
new console. I mean, so I'm thinking that it would be smart to still allow the game to be played on both the current Switch and whatever the next Switch would be, which
Yeah.
I still think it's going to be using the same, the architecture of the Switch, but just with a more beefier, processor in it, and
Hmm.
probably better material for the actual console to make it, more targeted for adults rather than kids.
Got you. Okay. It's interesting to see, and hopefully we'll see something soon. Uh,
Yeah,
just
Nintendo's gonna throw out one of their treehouse events out of nowhere. We're gonna see one soon. It's gonna happen.
I'll hold you to that because I'm ready for some Nintendo stuff. However, we do have what is it? Edge of the new Zelda game coming out next month.
What was it, Hyrule?
How, oh God.
Yikes! I should have been ready for this. Not Hyrule
Oh man.
Warriors. Uh,
Was that, you said Hyrule Warriors? Is that what it is?
is it?
I thought I
Um
saw somewhere on there that said that, but maybe I'm wrong.
yeah, Hyrule
Yeah.
Warriors Age
There we
of
go.
uh yeah, Hyrule Warriors. Let's just go with that.
Let's go with
And look,
that.
if y'all want to laugh real quick, I knew about that title. I never thought it was a Zelda game, and I'm not sure why. It's like I didn't put two and two together. I was just like, Hyrule Warriors, this sounds interesting. Huh? Never heard
Yeah.
that kind of property before. Let's see where this goes.
Oh, Age of Calamity. Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't it have
Yeah.
like Dynasty Warriors? That was like with the game from the PlayStation time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's still going strong. And it's funny because when I heard Hyrule Warriors, I think that's where my mind was going. That it's just another iteration of Warriors game. God, they got to get their money. Let's see how
I
this
mean,
goes.
it plays well. The first Hyrule Warriors that was on, I think it was on the Wii U. I
Yeah, I think so.
that one played almost like Dynasty Warriors, where basically you just get a swarm of enemies just keep coming, and you just get these random power ups that you can use to clear, the enemies pretty fast. So
Yeah.
it reminded me of Dynasty Warriors.
Pretty much just the same style of gameplay.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
So, and a small correction actually comes out this month, November 20th. I thought it was December, but no, this month.
Oh,
that's
wow.
that's Nintendo for you.
Might have to check that out this month.
Yeah, I'm sure y'all definitely let me know how it goes.
Yeah, it's gonna bridge the storyline from Breath of the Wild, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it takes place 100 years before
Hmm.
Breath of the Wild.
See, Nintendo still has life left in it, so this
Yeah,
I'm
they
just happy,
do.
man. I'm just happy.
I
do.
mean, yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, like I said, there's plenty of people who definitely like get into Nintendo. So
And speaking of life, does Halo still have a life? Because
I mean, the Halo is
recently,
a symbol of an angel, so maybe not.
Halo Infinite.
yeah, I mean,
Is
not
it?
so infinite now, but
I was
I
about to
don't
say, is
know.
it really infinite?
They might have to change the title, man.
So, the we got news earlier that the creative director has left the project, and this is now the second time this has happened.
Yeah.
um, so, and I guess real quick, I'll give my thoughts because I'm an Xbox kind of guy.
Hmm.
Um, it definitely sucks, that this is going on, and it does kind of make me question what's going on behind the scenes. Why are these people leaving? And we
Hmm.
have seen some speculation and rumors and everything, and from ex-employees or current employees on the condition and state of 343 in the game itself, and it hasn't been too good.
Right.
But I'm glad Microsoft made the decision to delay the game and delay it. They haven't even given a new release date, so which is
Hmm.
good right now.
Hmm.
I think they need to really kind of sit down and really figure out what's going on and really need to get this right because I think they can.
Hmm.
And they're setting this up to be a next level in Halo and this to be the next Halo game for years to come, hence the name Infinite.
Right.
But I think as we've seen from other games, especially live service games, they gotta nail the launch. They
Yeah.
got
Mhm.
to.
Yeah. It does make all the difference. Absolutely.
Now,
So
here's the thing. Do we?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
No, go. No. You're fine. You good.
Oh, I was going to say, do we want to give Microsoft a pat on the back for delaying the game? Because we think about it, they weren't planning on delaying the game until they got that feedback from everybody to say, "What the heck is
True.
this?"
True. That's a good point.
So, Microsoft technically was willing to give us this game, without any changes. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
and
So
I'm
I don't
glad.
I don't know. I can pat them on the back for I mean, I guess we can pat them on the back for listening to the fans, I guess.
Right. So yeah, it is curious with him leaving and all because there's so many different things we're hearing about it. We know about the backlash from the uh, pretty mediocre or less than mediocre reveal.
Mhm.
So then, we move on to, and I'm not sure which of these come first. But I know about the director leaving, but then also, I don't know if y'all heard about the news about how they were planning on changing the customization with probably pretty much like a la Destiny 2, where you have those
Mm-hmm.
annoying shaders, and obviously, a lot of people weren't happy about that. So it kind of stands for me. Like, I'm really curious, as you said earlier, about behind the scenes, a lot of things moving. What exactly is happening with it? It's like here we have Microsoft doing all these, like I was mentioning in other previous episodes, how they're doing pro consumer stuff, from the looks of it, and they're doing the X Cloud. They're just doing all these amazing things.
Mhm.
When it comes to Halo, they're pretty much one of their, well, probably not as much as their bread and butter now, but was their main staple. And now it's like a lot of craziness is going on with it, like a lot of
Yeah.
decisions being made that just don't seem favorable. So while it's great they're delaying the game, what's the whole thing behind this? Is like, are they delaying it not just for those things, but to just kind of reevaluate what direction they were going with it, or were they still plan on going that direction? They're just trying to wait for the outrage and people feedback to die down a little bit to then they can release what they had already intended on doing.
I think that there's too many hands in the pot. I think that
Mhm.
there's too many ideas to try to improve the game that
Okay.
they can't narrow it down. They are too scared to narrow it down. It's like a music artist that released a CD and that CD was a big hit, and now they have to
Right.
come out with a sequel CD, and they just scared 'cause they don't know if
Yeah.
the fans going to receive it the same as they did with the first one. So there's too many hands in the pot, and there's too much hesitation to move forward with any one idea because they're just too worried about
Hmm.
messing this up. And like Kid said, it's like you don't want to mess up on a service type game like this from the launch. You don't want to mess this
Yeah.
up.
Oh yeah.
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 And to pose that question to kind of feed off that, I want to go to Kid. It's like, do you think that they overpromised on it? Like they overpromised on the things that they were having, planned for Infinite. Just the hype that they generated. Do you think they kind of overreached on that mark?
Um, I think they would like to do those things. I think that to them they were thinking we can do this, and
Okay.
they probably thought it was reasonable. Um,
Hmm.
but it's just they just and to touch on a point you mentioned earlier, BP,
Hmm.
Microsoft, they are, especially lately, they have been doing a lot of pro consumer things, Game Pass, X Cloud, smart delivery. They've been knocking it out the park.
Sure.
I will say, and this also made me a little worried and curious about the Bethesda acquisition, but
Hmm.
they still have some shady dealings that they do primarily with the games that they do make themselves. Some of
Hmm.
those games have microtransactions in them, like we've seen with Gears, the latest Gears that came out. I think Gears 5
Oh,
has
okay.
microtransactions and
I didn't
everything,
even know that.
and yeah, and we're already hearing rumors of and talks of this game having microtransactions and pretty, atrocious ones at that. And so I
Right.
will say that they do a lot of great things, but then they also drop the ball with their own stuff. And so it's really interesting to see because it's like you guys are almost there, and then you just drop the ball at the finish line. It's like, come on, guys.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is the same company that at one point in time was going to force people to have a always online service on their consoles in order to use them,
Right.
to a company that forced you to have to connect with your console, even if you don't want motion control. So it's
Hey
like,
Yeah.
man, I love my Connect. said,
it's
said no one ever.
so it's like you have to imagine a company that has more, the CEOs have a more say in how games are being developed versus the actual game developers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
can't argue on that.
I wanted to pose a question to y'all about it.
Hmm.
So, because we finally got a look at the game, and shortly after that, and all the negative backlash and everything, it got delayed. Do
Hmm.
you think? Because like you were kind of saying, I think BP, you were saying, or maybe it was Star Child about they were waiting. It might not even delayed the game and would have just given it to us the way it was.
Hmm.
Um, do you think they purposely put that footage out and everything to gauge and see how people would react, and if maybe the internet didn't blow up so bad on them, they would have released it as it is?
No,
Well, I
that's
mean,
giving them too much credit.
There it is. There it
No, I
is.
mean, they really
well,
thought that this is going to be, because they had the name Halo attached to it. They thought that we were just going to accept whatever they gave us with the Halo banner. But unfortunately, when you want to push a next gen console, your Halo needs to look next gen. I'm sorry, that's just how it's supposed to be. In this
hmm,
game, when they showed it, and it was embarrassing because it didn't look better than the last gen Halo game. So it's like, okay, you add ray tracing, I guess. I don't know. You may have added some 4K aspects to some of your I don't know what you call the cinematic moments,
hmm,
but the game looked so last gen or less than last gen that it just was embarrassing.
got you. Yeah, I mean, well, you already know me and my theories of those gaming companies, or more so the publishers. I don't put anything past those companies, man. Like, just given the types of shady things they do behind the scenes that nobody really knows or pays attention to that much. But so yeah, I wouldn't put it past that they really kind of have this plan of doing that and gauging reactions to see what they can get away with, because why not? Other companies do it. I mean, they probably taking tips. They're probably taking secret tips from EA and 2K as we speak.
Who knows, man? Who knows? These
Hey,
companies.
but kid, isn't Halo 5 or Halo Infinite? I'm not sure what they're calling it, but isn't
It's
that
Infinite.
game isn't that game supposed to also play on the original Xbox or the Xbox One? Like, they trying to make this thing playable on all their consoles?
Yes, correct.
Hmm.
Pre-delay, yes, I know that was the statement, was that it can run on your Xbox One, Xbox One S, and I'm sorry, Xbox One X, and then the Series X and Series S. It can be playable on all those platforms.
So do you
Hmm.
think that that could be what's holding the game's potential back, is they are trying to make this thing so compatible with so underpowered consoles that they have to kind of underpower it for the next gen?
Absolutely, absolutely. While it is a great pro-consumer move that they're saying, "Hey guys, you don't have to upgrade to a new system day one. You can still play next-gen games on your current system." We have seen from both Sony and Microsoft that, yeah, they can be playable, but they're going to have to make sacrifices, and it's just like, I rather just get the next gen experience rather than have them try to cut back and make it playable on current gen. It's
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
we're
It's like a
losing stuff.
gimmick. It's a gimmick to try to make that game run on those older consoles. They should just leave those consoles and where it's at, and let it be, and just focus on giving us the best experience for the next gen. It is.
I
Hmm.
agree. I agree. I
Yeah,
wish.
yeah. I mean, I'm kind of on that defense too. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's cool and all. You're trying to look out for everybody and do the pro consumer thing, but like you said, it's just better to. And I think a majority of people really kind of just anticipate that experience more on the next gen anyway.
So that's a good point that you brought this up, Star Child.
Hmm.
Because I don't know if they said anything yet, but do you guys think? Because now it's delayed. I don't even think they didn't give a release date. I think they just said till next year.
Hmm.
Um, do you guys think that during this delay period, they cut ties from the last gen, so the Xbox One and One X, and focus primarily on the next gen consoles and make it playable just on those consoles? You think they'll do that?
If I was them,
Ooh.
I would. But Microsoft, them doing it themselves, it's all based on the market. If they actually put out some surveys and tested the market, they probably will follow whatever the market is saying. And I
Mm,
think the market is saying, forget the old consoles, stick with the new one.
Yeah.
right. Well, I mean, it's gutsy, man. I'll be honest. I don't. I mean, in Star Chalk could be completely 100% correct, but I still kind of feel like once they've made that declaration, they're probably going to go through with it, regardless of how disastrous it's going to be, or how disastrous it could be. I should say. I don't want to just
Yeah.
declare it as already disastrous, but I think just by them feeling like, well, we did kind of say that, and that was kind of the plan with a lot of different games that we had coming out. And they even said, I think at this point in time that that's what their plans was, just to have it all universal for all consoles at the moment. But I think that's one of the things I heard. I thought I heard them stress that at the moment that's what the plan was. So maybe then later on down the line they may say, oh yeah, we just need to focus on the next gen stuff now. So we'll have to see.
I just make it next gen exclusive, man. Just give us the flagship title and just make it next gen exclusive. Just
And still add
And
the
and it's not a
4-player
bad.
split screen.
Yeah, and honestly, it wouldn't be a bad thing to go that route because again, eventually you're going to have people get to the new console, and then you're doing a good thing with the backwards compatibility anyway.
and this
That
could
you can
help.
take the. Hmm?
I was just say this could help sell the Series S. Hey, only on
Yeah,
next gen consoles. Oh, guess what? We got a next gen system, $300.
right. And
Bada
again,
boom, bada
people.
bang. There you go.
Right, and again, people will be. I think will be really kind of cool with it, given that again you can do the backwards compatibility because that would
Yeah,
be people's hang up. Like, oh god, new system, and well, don't worry, you can pull all the old games and still do it.
I still
Unlike
play.
some other companies, but we don't have to talk about that.
And see, I guess it
Mm-hmm.
just depends on when it comes out. If they target an early 2021, then yeah, I could still see it still be play. They still keep the Xbox One and One X version of the game. But I think if they delay it like pretty much an entire year to this time next year,
Hmm.
I could see them trying to pull it off and just say, look, by now it's next gen exclusive. If you don't have an Xbox, now's the time to go get an Xbox. So I
Yeah,
guess it depends when they want to release it.
yeah. So
So
balls in their part, though. We'll see.
So I have before we get off Halo, I have a little conspiracy slash mainly fantasy I would like to see. Um,
Ooh, Star
and it,
Child territory.
I know, right? And it kind of went along with talks that we heard a couple weeks ago, maybe months ago now. But basically, Microsoft was in talks to buy Bungie. However, Bungie, or I think the result from that was just Bungie wanted too much money or something like that. So obviously, as
Mm.
of right now, they
Mm,
haven't purchased it. But
mhm.
man, oh man, I would just love even if they just did a partnership for Microsoft to give Bungie the will again and just let them start over or take what they can and just make Halo Infinite and just have Bungie just do whatever. Just give them money, give them time, and just let them make another Halo game.
Yeah.
So what's your conspiracy on it though? Is that the conspiracy part that Halo is gonna go back to Bungie?
Yeah, I guess it's more of just a fantasy slash somewhat conspiracy that Microsoft gets it back to Bungie or they
See,
buy Bungie or something.
I got, I
I see.
got, I gotta
Mm.
teach you how to do conspiracies.
Oh
You gotta
Let's see.
man.
up it. You gotta up it up a level a little bit. You gotta be like, maybe what they would do is they're gonna give Bungie Halo, and then what
Uh-huh.
Bungie's gonna do is they're gonna turn around and make Destiny 3, which is it's just technically Halo, and that's just gonna be the thing now. Halo is Destiny 3. See,
Listen to the
took it
Nice.
up
master,
the
Now
son.
next
that
level, man.
now that is a conspiracy. All right.
Well, you know what? I think I think Kid was just being a little coy. So on the off chance he just ends up being right, then he can fall back on, hey, see that conspiracy I threw out there?
Ah, there you go.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
BPK tip.
So I scoped the game out.
So, unfortunately, it's time to talk about some sad news.
Hmm.
Eh, And
Take
that
out the
is
violins.
that is delays. And even though we were only, I think, 3 weeks, like 20 something days away, Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed for the third time this year. However, only 21 days. So as of right now, could get delayed again. It's scheduled to come out December 10th. So again, just 21 days. So next month.
I think you should knock on wood. Just to be
No, let me do that real quick. Hold on.
safe.
All right. Hopefully that worked. But kind of what I wanted to talk about with this section was delays in general, because especially have we seen this year with the virus going around,
Mhm,
almost every big game this year has been delayed, if not by a little, by a lot.
Mhm.
Earlier this year we had Final Fantasy VII remake get delayed.
mhm,
We've had the Cyberpunk delay. We've had Watch Dogs Legion. We've had The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of
mhm,
Tsushima, like
mhm,
we just talked about, Halo Infinite. Um, Actually, the other day after the Cyberpunk news, Ubisoft announced that Far Cry 6 and Rainbow Six Quarantine is being delayed as well.
mm,
It's just this year has had so many delays, and I mean, there's just too
mm,
many to count.
right.
Um, I'm just curious to see what you guys think would be a good strategy, for delaying a game. Like I was talking with BP the other day, I think my ideal strategy for a delay, like especially with like Cyberpunk, that first delay, honestly, I wish they would take kind of what Microsoft did and just say, look, we're delaying it indefinitely. We're going to work on it. When we got stuff to show, we'll show you. And when we have a release date that we know we can stick to, we'll give it to you and just work on the game instead of telling us a day
Mhm,
and then going back on it.
See, that's a cold and calculated decision from a CEO. And that's
yeah.
Microsoft.
Mhm,
I think that, Cyberpunk, they're not thinking on that level. They are really trying to give their fans some hope, and the hope is this date it should be available to you type thing. They don't want you to feel like you're being left behind, and we'll let you know something at some point when we have some answers. Like that just feels like you slapping me in the face. So
yeah.
I like the way Cyberpunk is doing it. If they can't meet their goal, they're gonna be upfront and honest and be like, we're gonna have to delay it again. I mean, that I'm perfectly okay with that. If I feel that they are delaying the game because they're trying to work out any bugs or trying to, finish
Mhm.
testing it, I'm okay with that. Don't rush a game. Never ever make a person rush your food or rush a game. Just don't do it.
That's good. That's good.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, and I mean to Star Child's point. Well, for me, like I know there's so many working parts to it, and Star made some good points on that and everything about just giving the dates as hope. Because I do feel like while I can see the point of just saying, hey, we're working on it. Once we know or have more of a sure fire date, then we'll let you know. I do feel like that could come off as like an empty promise to many people. And they wouldn't really appreciate it because most people are just used to that whole target date just to be just so they can kind of make the plans and say, all right, cool, I'll take this time off, or I can save my money up here and do this to have it to buy it, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I know that kind of plays into it. And then like I said, you have the other ends like corporate world and investors, because investor shareholders, they want to know about that kind of thing. And hey,
Hmm.
what can we
Oh
expect
yeah.
hit in this quarter to do well because of it, like that kind of thing. So I know that plays a factor. So given that, I don't it would be really hard for them to really just flat out come out and say, hey guys, just be patient, we'll let you know whenever. It'd be a little bit of a tough sell. And like Star said, I mean, like I will say I'm gonna put out there that I am for delays too, like as long as it's for the benefit and good cause of the game, and for it to be polished and everything like that. But I will call into question, you know, excessive delays.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, okay, what's really going on? Because if you're saying things that don't seem to be adding up to correlate with the delays and why they're happening, especially if you're making kind of headlines of, okay, yeah, we're definitely not going to delay anymore because it's going to be, is this going to be this time? We got everything straight, everything looks good. And then I think they went gold, with
Last,
the
last month.
right. So when that kind of thing happens, and then all of a sudden, oh, we got to do a delay again. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's the end of the world or anything like that. But on one side, I can see what people be upset about, and then on my side, I would question it more. Like, well, why exactly you're saying this? Like, oh, we want to do a little more polish, but it feels like you said that before. So what is it like? Is there something else you're just not saying that you're worried about? Like, you know, so that's where I kind of would take a little issue is like, all right, it's starting to become like Duke Nukem territory. Not that serious, not
Oh,
that bad,
Oh
but
wow.
it just put back shades of memory for me, like just working at GameStop and thinking, just hearing people just coming in constantly. Oh, it's delayed again. Oh man, when? Like, when is it gonna happen? And then you have to keep saying, look, I don't know. Like they keep saying it's gonna be this year or this time or this month, and they keep pushing it back. I don't know. It'll be ready when it's ready, and then as we know, years later, it
well,
just
yeah. To kind of go off what you said, BP. Well, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely for delays too. Like I'd rather get a complete and functional game than
sure.
a rush buggy mess.
Mhm.
But my problem with, especially when they do set these release dates and say, okay, look, it's coming out this day. It's kind of like you said, BP. People schedule their life around that. Like me personally, and a lot of other people, I scheduled off. It was going to come out November 19th. I
Yeah.
scheduled the 20th off, which was a Friday.
Hmm.
And now that, hopefully I can get this new release date off. But like for people who, maybe had to schedule months in advance, and especially as you get closer and closer to the Christmas time, they might not be able to get that time off. And, it's just a video game at the end of the world. But,
Hmm.
still people, like you said, they save, they plan, they schedule their life around stuff like this. And so when you say something and then they got to take it back, it's like people got to do these last minute adjustments and it sucks,
Hmm.
It's not
Especially
fun.
nowadays.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but like I said, I understand both sides of the argument. Some that say, "Oh, it's no big deal," and others that, "No, it is a big deal because I took off this time." I don't agree. I don't side with the people who go extreme though and want to send threats. Now that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Now that is,
that's
come on now.
that's
Hey,
completely not called
what are
for.
you,
But
what are you doing with your life? Come on.
right? I
Hey.
mean,
Hey,
man,
don't piss them off. I don't want any threats.
that's right,
But
man. Mhm.
I would like to get the game before 2077, That'd be nice.
Oh,
Yeah, I like that.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that old joke that people are making all the time now. You'll get it in 2077. But I'm still excited for Cyberpunk. Um, I
2077. You
cyber
think they're trying to
sex. I
break
mean,
Duke Nukem's
cyberpunk. Yeah, there
record?
we go. Because that game, for what I'm being told, is going to allow you to do so much.
oh
That's
yeah.
yeah, it's going to be interesting what people may want to do in that game.
Oh,
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
yeah.
Plenty coverage on it, I'm sure.
I, as I told BP, it was funny. Uh, so I have a Steam on my computer. There's an application that you can buy called Wallpaper Engine, and basically people can make wallpapers and they can like animate it, and then you can link like YouTube videos and stuff in it. You can do a lot. It's a great application.
Mhm.
And I was on vacation right before it got delayed, and while I was just chilling, I was like, "Well, you know what? Let's get in the mood because Cyberpunk comes out next month. This is October, so it would have been November. I downloaded a wallpaper that had a live countdown till the game came out. And
Wow.
I was so excited to show BP because I don't shut up about the game, and he knows how excited I am. So I showed it to him, and he was just telling me how crazy I am as usual.
That's putting it
And
mildly, by the way.
and when I learned of the latest delay, I texted BP and told him. And one of the first things he said was, "Did your countdown change?" I was
Sure did.
Did it?
devastated.
Reset.
I was devastated, man. We were so close, and then they were like, "Ha, delay."
Yeah. And I mean, I honestly, I teased you about it, man, but I honestly did hate it for you because I know how much it sucks. You
Ah,
look something so long and,
yeah,
and mind you, yeah, it's a small weight, but still, it's just, just throws you off a
it,
little.
it adds up, man. Because
Yeah.
April 16th was a long time ago. There
Oh,
is no
yeah.
release date.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I definitely sympathize with you on that.
So, but hopefully, uh, the game they take their time and the game does come out great. I mean, just to kind of put some context out there, reason they are what people are speculating and kind of alluding to based off what they've CD Projekt Red have said is the current generation, so like the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, baseline models. The game isn't necessarily performing all that great on those versions of the consoles,
Mhm.
because they've said it runs great on PC and it's running great on next gen, but current gen is like, oh,
I
Yeah.
still call BS on that, but we talked about that in another show. So
Yeah. And
go
I,
back to episode 5 to hear my rant on that. Yeah.
no, it's funny because I kind of did. I'm not gonna lie, like full disclosure, I did kind of blow up at that idea, as kid knows.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Great times.
I have had time to settle down still from there, so it's not so bad. But I know part of the issue, one of my biggest things is just things have to be logic. Like it has to make logic sense to me. And when I hear those things in the way it's explained, and I think about it, I'm like, wait, wouldn't you design it originally for the current gen? Like, so that's where it just kind of set me off, like out of nowhere. But just thinking about it, I was like, I'm open to whatever, but I am very cautious about that reasoning, that explanation. You
Which,
know.
but like I said, they did say in the latest post that
Mhm.
midway through development, they did just think about switching it over to be a next gen exclusive. And
Right.
personally, I think they should have just done that.
You just
Um,
just flat out go to the next gen.
but
Yeah,
see, here's the thing: Cyberpunk isn't like Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite is technically being made for multiple consoles.
Right.
Cyberpunk
wait,
is being made for just 2 consoles, the current gen and the next gen. So it shouldn't
NPC.
be that complicated. NPC. So it shouldn't be that complicated. And I'm not a programmer, so I'm not trying to pretend to be, but you're only working with 3 different platforms. It
Well,
shouldn't. Hmm?
technically, it's like 9 when you include all the different Xbox and PlayStation versions and everything
Dang it!
like that.
I just didn't. I forgot that Xbox wants all this stuff to run. Yeah.
Uh,
See, so here's the thing: Xbox is screwing it up for everybody. That's
Yeah.
what's going
there it
on.
is.
The
There
moral of the
it
story, ladies
is.
and gentlemen, Xbox
Oh man,
is
there it
they are the
is.
reason for the delay. I got you. I hear you,
There,
Star.
that's all it is right now. So we can move on to the
Ah,
next topic. We figured this out.
Problem
got
solved.
you.
I got you. Mystery
Well,
solved.
hopefully, December 10th is it, and we'll be playing it December 10th. But we'll see.
And by we, he means him. But that's fine. We'll look into it.
Yeah, dang Skippy, I will be. Oh, let me tell you. So, last thing we kind of want to talk about was loot boxes, and basically, I thought about this the other day, and I want to pose a question to everybody.
Mhm.
Because as we see more and more recently, we've been calling, and our government has been kind of stepping in to try and regulate the video game industry because, basically it all really kicked off with Star Wars Battlefront 2 and EA a couple years ago, and ever since then, you
Mhm.
know, it's been the whole world actually has been, regulating loot boxes and microtransactions and everything, and so the government hasn't come in just yet and actually taken control over it and everything. But I
Mhm.
wanted to pose the question to you guys and kind of, poke your brain and see what do you guys think if the government did regulate loot boxes and microtransactions in video games, how do you think they would do it?
Good
Hmm.
question. I know that they're doing all the because I know a lot of the issue comes from the laws that aren't quite up to date.
Yeah,
With
the
how
upload
things are
laws.
current. So I know that's one of the biggest hurdles that come across, even for like around the world. They've been kind of scrambling to, because the idea behind it is gambling, and that's what everybody's trying to stress that yeah, it's gambling. Which has been an interesting thing that EA and those companies try to fight against, and well, we don't think it's gambling. It's not that, and it's funny because they argue it in the sense of like people are really trying to actively take it out when in reality it's more of a pressure to regulate it as gambling to say no, this you can't say that this is for all ages, for example, when it has those gambling mechanics, right?
Correct.
So I know
Yeah.
that's part of the big fight that's happening, at least from the government side. As far as how they would regulate it, I think that's where they would just have to start. Really, is just making sure the laws are updated to accurately reflect that. But the big fight comes from just getting to that point because as there's corruption and there's people who are paid that are in those positions, unfortunately, that can just either look the other way or just pretend like no, everything's okay. We don't need to get involved in that.
Huh.
So I think that's part of the hurdle they have to get across first before they can really look at, well, okay, how exactly do we do this? Do we just stick with coming up with another type of rating system, or do we some kind of a deeper advisory
Nah.
for parents,
Mm-mm.
like what do we do? You know what I mean? So
Nah, that's I would say this. We should be
mhm.
like Warren G and Nate Dogg. We should call regulate on all those loot boxes. We don't
Okay.
need it. We never asked for it. We don't want it. It's not a game mechanic. It's
Mhm.
gambling. I can go
Right.
to a casino if I want to gamble. I don't need to be gambling in a game that is all about first person shooting. It
Mhm.
makes zero sense. So
Right.
what they're trying to do with these loot boxes, they're trying to tap into some of our repetitive natures. So it's like
Mhm.
we want to get some type of enjoyment from this loot box, so they create some type of programs that feeds off of that with us, and so they're
Right.
training us to become gamblers to their game, and they know they're
Mhm.
doing this. They've been doing
Mhm.
studies. They know how our brain works and know what excites us. So
Mhm.
they're purposely doing this, and so because I know they are purposely doing this, the government needs to come in, step in, and stop it because it's not basically healthy for the actual consumer at all. It's
Mhm.
like a doctor continuing to give a patient pain medicine instead of trying to verify if they're actually in pain or they're addicted to the actual medicine. We are going to
Mhm.
be playing these games in the future because we're not enjoying the game. We are addicted. We are addicted to the game, and
Yeah.
that's no
To that
longer
aspect.
that's no longer fun. So the government
Right.
needs to step up and do what's right, and not get paid by lobbyists to be able to turn the other way. That just no, we can't. You got kids that should not be part of this type of gaming system at the moment. It's
Oh yeah.
dangerous, it's crazy, and it's
Yeah.
lunacy that these companies are trying to push it the way they are pushing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They are definitely siphoning, and that's big problem. Absolutely, the siphoning money from like I said, kids and stuff like that who don't know better and drain out their parents'
Oh, they
wallets.
know these kids
Bank
know better.
accounts.
They know how to use that credit card. They
Oh
know
yeah,
what
I mean,
they
you
know
put it
what
that way,
they're
sure, but
doing.
yeah, but just the idea that they don't, you don't really think too much about the real consequences behind
Oh
that,
yeah,
because
yeah.
when you're a kid, oh, you got money, mom and dad, the money grows on trees, of course it does,
Mhm.
Not
that we
only
don't. Mm,
And then the kid
not
gets addicted. He's not going to probably look at his mom and dad no more. The mom and dad hiding their wallets. They're going to start looking at other ways to get money to pay for that loot box.
mhm,
So yeah, it's like we
very
don't know
dangerous
how
behavior.
far. Yeah, we don't know
Mhm,
how far this can go if we let kids to grow up with these type of game mechanics.
yeah,
I was gonna say, with the kids, you got to think about the mental aspect of it too. Is
sure.
they get addicted, like you said, to this, and they start to grow these bad habits of gambling and everything. And so,
Mhm,
sure, it might start with mom and dad money when they're 10 and 12, but
mm,
when they turn 16, 17, 18, and get their own money, you know, it could, they could start just throwing it away down the drain, on these loot boxes.
yeah,
Um,
and
And we don't even know how these loot boxes are doing their randomizing. Like we don't know how if you're purchasing a loot box, so you try and get that very special item, we don't
mhm,
know the mechanics behind how that item actually does show up. Like how
yeah,
like what's the
well,
but
percentage?
they
Like
know
most.
we go ahead.
Hmm?
I was gonna say, I think it was like last year
Mhm,
or something like that. I think the three companies, so Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo, I think I think it was supposed to be sometime this year or something like that. That they, if your game has microtransactions on their systems, I think you have to disclose the odds, the probabilities
Nice.
of everything like
That's a
that.
good start.
okay,
I don't know if they've done it yet or not. I know it was like sometime down the road, but I don't ever remember hearing, if it's taken effect yet or when it was supposed to. So I don't know if they've done it yet, but they're supposed to be doing it.
yeah. Well, I
And I
mean,
know
that's
some
good.
countries you have to do that.
That's good. I mean, I didn't hear about that, but that's really good. Well, like Star said, it's a good start. Um, because as we know, because I'm pretty sure we all realize that it's extremely low with the odds.
Oh
And
yeah,
got
zero
countless
point
stories out
zero
there.
zero one.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have countless stories out there of people who fell victim to it. And I think just recently there was I think YouTuber did a video recently about the latest 2K antics, where apparently there was a James Harden so-called release in part of the car packs or the microtransaction part or whatever. And apparently the idea when they made it live was that, hey, James Harden's available to get him, to get through this way. And I think for the first few minutes or for I think 23 minutes, something like that, he actually wasn't even like included. So basically they announced it that, yeah,
Nice.
you can get him, but he wasn't actually included in the back end for that first like few minutes.
Wow.
And
Nice.
so, yeah, and I think it was pointed out by a Reddit user. I think that he featured in the video, just talking about that, saying that that's what they realized. So he was going around saying, yeah, I mean, 2K is just scamming people out of their money just for that first few minutes, saying something was he was available and he really wasn't. So, yeah.
Well, 2K.
So
See,
yeah,
this is no longer up to just the government. You wouldn't have to kind of look at the consumer and be like, do you want this kind of abuse? I mean, if you want this kind of abuse,
mhm.
I can't help you. Like the government shouldn't be that involved in our lives to make those type of decisions for us. But if we are not given the kickback, we are not voicing our concerns, the government may not even care. Like the U.S. government, other countries may have different responses, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we are even having the voice that we should have to even say. I know that people don't like the loot boxes, but yet the loot boxes are still getting tons of money. So I don't know.
Well, you bring up something very, very important that I don't think a lot of people talk about, because I know that ideally, I think majority of people wouldn't really want the government to have to step in to regulate, but they just feel like they've kind of had to voice out so long and be ignored for so long that they're like, what else, other avenue do we have? But I feel like the thing that we're not talking about is just how far do we trust the government in when it comes to regulations? Like, do we just trust them to simply stick with the regulation of the loot boxes, or
See,
are we worried that they may start to reach even more and start doing crazy things like in the past where they would just start outright trying to ban certain games? Oh, these, now we can revisit these topics of these games being too violent
well,
and
see,
bad
Pandora's
influences.
box. Okay.
Yeah, so
see,
that's why I get a little concerned about that. I mean, sure, I want the regulation to happen to kind of benefit or to help these, not help, but to make these companies really be more honest and open about these, and to not take advantage of people that way in a psychological sense. But at the same time, once you get Uncle Sam in there, he may start really looking at a lot of other things that he feels that we can't do in the gaming world. So,
me
I,
personally, I don't want the government to regulate
sure.
the game industry. I'd rather just keep them out of it
Hmm.
because you got all those boomers in there. Oh, video games, they're bad.
Yeah.
I just know they're gonna make crazy changes, and I don't want that.
Hmm.
But the game industry does need some regulation, and the sad part is it has it with
Yeah.
organizations like the ESRB,
Yeah.
but they're being paid off by publishers, and they're
Yep.
not
Hmm.
being able to do their job properly, and
Yeah.
kind of what I wanted to bring up earlier when we were talking about kids is that, like, honestly, when we talk about what could regulation mean for the video game industry with loot boxes and everything, just imagine if FIFA, a game with the Ultimate Team Pack and all the loot boxes. Um, I think it's rated probably E right now. Just imagine if the ESRB actually stood up and was like, this is gambling. This is made for adults. This is
Hmm.
an M game. This is rated M.
Right.
Like, and sure, to be fair, how many parents really look at the ratings and everything? Not a lot, not all of them, but some do, and some will look at that and say, "Wait, why is this rated M? Oh, this has gambling in it? No, I'm not letting my 12-year-old play that. That's gonna hurt them negatively."
Yep.
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
could be an effective way to kind of at least quickly stop loot boxes and stop these companies from doing this. Because EA isn't going to have their game be rated M because they could lose a lot of money on that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it would be a good start and maybe just an illusion of some type of regulation, because they probably would put the M stamp on that game, but they still know that kids could still have access to it. So it's like, but at least they can give the illusion of doing something if they were to step up, and they don't
Yeah.
even care about the illusion part.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
you know,
I think they, the ESRB thing mentioning that definitely would need to be restructured completely, to where things can't be allowed like them being pandered to or lobbied to by those publishers, and not to mention because one of the publishers, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't even a part of the board or something like that.
yeah, something like
It
that.
it makes
ESRB,
sense.
I can't remember. I thought it was the Take Two CEO. I might be getting that really wrong, but I thought I heard of something about he being on the board or he being the head of it or something. And so
Too close.
obviously, huh?
I was just saying they're too close.
Right, yeah, and obviously that's like why. Okay, so he's gonna head that. I mean that conflict, but I guess based on how it's set up, and everything, that's not people don't see it as a big deal. But again, going back to my restructuring point, that's why I feel like that would have to happen. Like you have to establish some clear-cut rules of how independent they are supposed to be, with no kind of influence whatsoever, or no kind of conflicts, no kind of just anything
Yeah.
that's associated with the game industry, other than them just regulating it and looking into it via independent studies.
Yeah, they need way more oversight. So
That
Yeah.
that too, absolutely, yes, yes,
They
and,
need to
and
be
the kind of
separate
oversight
entities.
doesn't go back to the publishers because we don't need their hands in that type of thing.
I just want loot boxes banned. If you want to sell, skins, if you want to sell, this really cool vehicle, if you want to sell extra stuff, fine. I'd rather not have that either,
Right,
but just allow people to buy it. Don't shove it in a box with a dozen other things that nobody wants, that you're going to have that be the 99% chance you get, but that
right,
cool skin that they want be that 0.001% chance and charge $5 for every round to just let
every
people buy
single
it.
click they have
sure,
to pay. Yeah.
sure,
But
Just let
like
people
you like
buy
like
it.
you just said, like letting people buy it versus profit. they
yeah,
they rather you spend way more money until you think you might have a chance to get it versus buying it straight out. They they,
right,
they already in their brain calculated the losses in that. So they're not gonna move forward to cutting their losses and profits. They're not
I
gonna
know.
do it. So the government has to step in.
right. Yeah, it's a
Somebody
sad
needs to.
thing. It's a sad thing to think about, really. But and that's where most people, I guess, realize that there's really not much of a choice. They're really the only people in that type of position that can say that type of thing. Because just listen to consumers. I mean, come on. No matter how many of us step forward and be like, "No, man, we don't want this." I mean, outside of us just completely not buying a product, kind of world we'll be in then. But uh,
Well, it was interesting because we were getting there. Because like I said, back when EA and Battlefront 2 started,
mhm,
a lot of people did voice their concerns, and that's when you did see a lot of U.S. Legislators stepping up and actually fighting to do it. But one of the biggest problems is just all the old heads, the boomers who are still in office who don't care about it and like, video games, nobody cares about that, so they're not even paying attention to it. But
or they're
it,
getting paid really
that
well.
too, but it's it's also that definition of gambling. It needs
Sure,
to be updated
sure,
to
Yeah.
yes,
include loot boxes because that
mhm.
is gambling. I don't know how you can look at that and say it's not gambling. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, money does that,
Oh
man. It makes you turn a
man,
blind eye.
I cannot remember it right now, but it was the funniest thing. EA, I think in one of their court cases, they
Oh,
rebranded the word gambling for their
sure.
loot boxes. They called it something else, and it was
Surprise
Surprise
me.
mechanics.
Yeah.
surprise mechanics. There we
Surprise
go.
mechanics.
Yeah,
Yes,
This is
sir.
how twisted
Yes,
and dirty
sir.
these CEOs and lawyers are, and that's what I'm saying. We cannot trust these companies because if
Surprise
you would try to
mechanics.
disguise gambling as surprise mechanics,
Mhm.
you're treating us like we were just imbeciles. You're
Well
just calling us idiots.
well, and that was what was so disappointing with that when they came up with the surprise mechanics, because most people were looking at it like, "Really? That's the best you got? All this money, all these people on your side, with these think tanks you got, and surprise mechanics. That's what you settled on."
That's and it's probably worked because as of right now, they still not regulated. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it worked so much as they probably just didn't care. They were just people that were like kind of trying to hold, so-called hold them accountable. They probably weren't really that invested. They probably had other things on the agenda that, we'll just put this out for the public, make them think that we're doing something. But
Correct.
yeah, but I just thought that was funny. So some
Yeah.
people had a good laugh after that surprise mechanic. I mean, that's still a meme to this day, So
Yeah, for sure. But the sad part is it's probably going to take another big outrage like a Battlefront 2 before we really see any change. Because I
Mhm.
would say for the most part, especially here in the U.S., talks of anything have died down.
Yeah, and I think it just comes down to the franchises too, which is interesting when you think about it, because Star Wars is a huge property, right?
Huge.
I mean, we can all agree on that, and it's just interesting. You go from that, but then you look at something like Madden, and then it's like, but people still buy it up, and they go over there and they're like, oh, we can do this and that, or FIFA, actually, even better example, FIFA, where that's just even where that's egregious, where they just take egregious measures with the monetization in that game, and people, still buy it up.
Still buying it up.
And it's interesting, right? Because you look at the Battlefront thing and you're thinking, okay, it's obviously a thing that we can stand together as a community and make them do what we want them to do. But then when it comes to those, it's like, hey, sports, man.
Yep.
I mean, sure, it's the same thing, 10 times over from last year's, but, got to
Oh,
get
yeah.
my sports on. It's like,
Oh, you got to get that updated roster.
yeah, it's like, come on, man. Where's that flame? Where's the flame that the Star Wars fans had, man? We need that in that world too. We need that to be applied all over, because once they feel like they can get away with one of the franchise or a couple of them, I mean, it's not so bad then, It's like, okay, we'll give them what they want about up front, but FIFA, baby.
Yeah, it's
That's their
almost
cash
like
cow.
we're living in a society today where everything's all about profits, and capitalism, it has its pros and cons. I'm not trying to go into that type of deep conversation.
Oh, that's deep. That's a deep one.
But at some point in time, you got to look at it. Is it hurting my image as a company if we keep trying to drain the pockets of our consumers?
Mhm.
And as of right now, they're currently in a nice little middle ground where they're giving us a choice to want to spend the money. But
Mhm.
at some point, because the kids are growing up into this type of system of gameplay, it won't be a choice for them when they become adults. Because again, it's going to be instilled in their minds that gambling is the gameplay, and
Mm.
it's just going, and that's where it's no longer a little safe zone. So I'm
Right.
worried about the next generation if
Yeah.
these companies continue doing what they're doing, because the pay to win type of mechanic, yeah, it's irritating, but fine. But what are these kids gonna be like when they're my age playing
Mhm.
games? That's my
Right.
concern.
Strong statement. Yeah.
Pay to turn it on.
Listen,
You made that a joke, but who knows?
no, I'm
Who
serious. I mean,
knows?
look, you had the moment with what was it, Metal Gear Survive, where you had to pay for
Oh,
everything safe.
Lord have
I mean, come on,
mercy.
man. Come on. That's not
Lord
the
have
scary thing is
mercy.
that when you said that, it's not too far from reality, man. That could happen. It's like you I can imagine that, turn the game on, $5. Say,
Press X, $10.
yeah, that whew.
Oh, you want to hear sound? Yeah, that'd be $20.
Imagine, man. That boy. Yeah.
Oh
God help
man,
us.
yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, I think that was a pretty good one, y'all.
Yeah.
I feel like I distressed myself a little bit.
I was about to say, I think we
Yeah.
scared ourselves enough on that one. Ended kind of bleak, but
That's how we do things around here, baby.
Oh,
So you want to hit him with the outro, sir?
yeah. I mean, we can do that, right? You just listen to empty space. But no, just as usual, you can hit us up. First of all, thank you for listening to everybody who's tuning into us. But just for any feedback, just please hit us up at gmrcrediits@gmail.com. And just give us feedback, some insights, whatever you have, and just let us know.
And on our YouTube channel, you can post any comments there. Gamer credits.
True.
All right, everybody. I think
Think
that's about it.
Yeah, I'm ready to eat, man. I know it's late, but I'm a late eat over here.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I already checked out. But
Yeah,
still,
see.
I thought he was going already. Like, all right, time to go eat.
Nervous. I was like, we already down like,
And gone.
Yeah, I'm hungry, man. I don't know. Y'all take too much time.
All right, everybody.
All right. Be easy, everybody.
Be safe, everybody.
Cool,
Let's
cool.
get it.